whatever happens in America, those we call the Cabal know this to be a fact, metaphysically true, that whatever happens in America, America's like a beacon, an energetic beacon. Whatever happens there, in anything, but particularly in politics, I'm talking now, it's like it creates an energetic template for what's going to follow in the rest of the world. First in the Western world, Europe, Anglosphere, etc., and then it catches on everywhere, like literally all the world, Japan, India, China, everywhere, right? So we're seeing it happen now. It's almost 10 years after, well, what is it, 2024? 8 years, okay, after Trump started his thing, with the whole Hillary Clinton thing, lock her up and build the wall, blah, 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 that glorious phase back then, which was just so much fun. It was more like it was more like a reality TV thing than anything. But because I liked him because I knew he was genuine, okay, and many people who knew that's why they liked him. So anyway, this is not about Trump. I would, if I had my way, if I was emperor of the world, I would make everything about Trump. But there's videos about Mr. Milei, and he really is. But I'm not explaining. I'm trying to give my my understanding of how this happened. I mean, he is the first. I heard it on Valuetainment first a couple of weeks ago, that apparently he is the first libertarian anywhere ever to be voted in like this, to beat all the other parties. I mean, at first they were like, what, you mean in Argentina? No, everywhere, anywhere, ever in history. And the explanation is that Trump was the first domino that now, about a decade later, led to something like this, because these things work in the invisible realm as well. It's like the 100th monkey syndrome, that kind of thing. Like it does something in the morphogenetic field, like in the energy grid, the aura of the earth, let's say. Like I keep saying, this is not that kind of channel, but I'm gonna be flirting with these ideas on this channel as well. My full-on spiritual occult themed channel is my original one from 14 years ago, which has been largely dormant most of the time. But this is not that type of channel. But I can't not be myself, so I'll always be injecting a little metaphysical things here and there, like as a cherry on top, like the icing on the cake of the culture war, political, feminism, and dating stuff that I'll be talking about on this channel. So there is the 100 monkey syndrome, and because the dark magicians who comprise this cabal that we all talk about, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call it, but so they understand these things, but they use them for their own gain. So that's why you can call them, dark magicians, because they use the metaphysical concepts for selfish reasons. Okay, that's like a very simplistic definition of what black magician means, but that's, I'm keeping it light. So they understand that whoever gets in the White House is going to create a template for the entire world. So this is why they went crazy when Trump got in, because they thought, oh shit, we've lost. So basically, the day Trump got elected, literally the day that he got elected, the cabal lost. Okay? Because they knew that even if we get rid of him before his term is up, even if like somehow with all this Russiagate BS or anything, whatever else, we might get rid of him like in a couple of years, let's say. Even if he did last only for 2 years in the White House, that would have been enough of a period of time. It would have been more than enough time for the domino push to cascade, to go, to create like that, that one domino to go and create all the other energetic effects that, in a exponential, eventually in an exponential fashion, create little mini Trumps all over the world. Okay, one of them is this guy now, whom we reacted to for about an hour and 10 minutes now. So I saw this coming. Other people saw it coming as well, and it's like Trump was like the guy that inaugurated a new era. I'm partially saying this bit, I'm partially mentioning this stuff now at the end because it kind of makes me feel vindicated, because I was saying in Facebook posts, like I said, from back then, from almost 8 years ago, that I said, guys, don't think I've lost my mind suddenly and became a statist because I'm a massive Trump fan. It's like, trust me, when you're going to see this in the future, he's going to create mini Trumps around the world, because energetically he's set like the template for the new type of leadership, for the new age, the new aeon, okay, let's say, which is a more by the people, for the people kind of thing, which is the original intention and the idea, the true, the core idea or ideal behind the US Constitution. All right? So, the Constitution, America's fine. I mean, the Constitution, the bedrock is there, like the foundation is always going to be there. And freedom is always going to be sprouting up, just like weeds grow through cement. They do the impossible and come up through the cement, or like a phoenix rising through the ashes. That's always the American spirit of freedom, is always going to be rising up, because the very template, the energetic template of that nation is the Constitution. I mean, so it's like an egregore, let's say. It's like a group mind. It's like in the morphogenetic field of the US. So you can't erase that so easily, all right? So people are freaking out, oh, there's going to be a civil war and blah, 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 and America has fallen. Well, not so fast, okay? Just wait and see. Perhaps the Constitution was so ahead of its time, it was meant to flourish from now on. Up until now, it was like practice, if you ask me. And somebody like Trump, especially now with Vivek Ramaswamy, oh my God, that recent thing that they had when they were on the podium together, oh my God. I mean, I predict, well, I can't have a feeling, not predict, but I've got a nagging feeling, a lot of us do, I guess, that perhaps he's going to end up, Vivek's going to end up being his VP. Can you imagine that? That's like Batman and Robin. Like, I just can't. This is, stop. My head's going to explode in a good way. This is too much. So, it's just too much freedom. So much freedom and awesomeness, it just makes my head hurt. So, but that's, in all seriousness, that is what this new age, I don't want to go down the path of, the Aquarian age and the new Pluto in Aquarius thing that's happening at the time of this recording. The Pluto in Aquarius I speak of happens in about 48 hours, in my time at least, in Europe. So, but that is a factor. The elite, I mean, you look at the way they build all the important cities, the capital cities, they're absolutely rife with occult, like occultism is everywhere, and sacred geometry. And it's not malevolent, because in the beginning, in my mid-level phase, I used to think that the people that are kind of not really, people that are, the researchers that are occultism challenged, let's say, they think that every one of these things is satanic. It's all satanic. Like, that's just, come on. That's the most low resolution interpretation. All right. So it comes from religious programming, right? But the truth of the matter is that places like Washington, D.C., District of Columbia. Now, Columbia is basically a personification of the US, because they took Christopher Columbus, his surname, and they feminized it. They turned it, into a feminine female goddess name, Colombia. Because I Googled it the other day, unrelated to this post, but it came to me now because I was looking it up. I'm like, did Colombia exist before? What's the deal with all these theories about what is the Statue of Liberty, what does that really represent, and who is Colombia, and blah blah blah. It's just a made-up goddess from Christopher Columbus's name. There's all kinds of theories out there, weird Jordan Maxwell-esque stuff where they just make shit up from out of nowhere. This means that, and the etymology of this is that, and then you look up the etymologies, and they're either completely distorted, like grossly misunderstood, or completely wrong, false, and you're thinking, this person just done bad research, or is he just fucking, is he flat out lying to me? What are they doing? But no, it was from Columbus and Columbia. Okay, so it's the goddess Columbia, like Athena is like the goddess of Athens, of my hood, the objectively greatest city in the galaxy, right? That's like, I'm totally not biased. So District of Columbia, and they built it along white occultism, okay, light occultism. Light, not as in it doesn't weigh very much, light as in light versus dark, right? I can't. I'm not going to be me if I don't throw in a joke every couple of minutes. If I don't make a joke within 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to burst. Okay, so please understand. So these are highly positive structures, all these sacred geometry-based buildings, and town layouts, city layouts, and all that stuff, all that architecture. People, like I said, the occultism challenged individuals, they look at it and they lose their minds. So everybody loses their minds. It's like, but it's not. Like, because when you get to the level where it's like, oh, that's what's going on, you finally realize that, I see. Okay. So, I see what you're saying now. So there's the White Lodges are, in truth, much more powerful than the Dark Lodges that are trying to take over. Like the Jedi, technically, are much more powerful than the Sith because they're the ones that started it all. The Dark practitioners, they don't create anything of their own. They just take what the good guys made and they flip it. They distort it. That's all they do. So it's the White Lodges, it's the good guys that found America, founded America, and went and built all those important places. Most importantly for America, where America is concerned, is Washington, D.C. And everything, the whole 9 yards, the obelisks and all these things, all of it is at its core. I mean, okay, obelisk. People say it's a phallic symbol. It's a masculine. What does that mean? Masculine, solar. What? How? Okay, let's keep digging here. All right, solar. Why the fuck? How is it conceivable in any, like, try to come up with any reason. Okay, tell me in the comments if you will, but you won't be able to figure out a reason. Why would solar energy be negative in any way possible? I mean, Jesus was supposed to be like a solar character, avatar. Okay, many of them, like Krishna was the same. Okay, I'm not going down the whole. What was that called? I don't remember what it was called, but it was about a decade ago. This video on YouTube became very popular. That was talking about how it's all astrotheology and Jesus is a competent character. I'm not saying that. He's real, and the miracles and stuff, a lot of it was real, most of it, maybe all of it. Okay. Solar avatar. Okay, so that and in these religions, Krishna, Jesus, figures like that, are considered the utmost in positivity. They're considered as being God-men, because they actually are, technically. So how then is how is the solar current, how is the solar polarity in any way to be seen as negative, unless you're using the dark side of the sun? But there's no connotation that that's what that is. I mean, it's just an obelisk. Okay, if you look at all this, if you really look at it, like if you know what the fuck you're talking about, granted I might look a bit younger, but I'm almost 50 now, I'm 48. I just turned 48 in October 23. So it's like, I've been studying this stuff since my early 20s. So you need about 20, 30 years to probably get to that point. I mean, maybe these days not so much. The younger kids who are actually born into the internet, you know, you can get red pilled quicker, technically, but not always, maybe, because the drawback there as well is that there's too much information now. So it's almost impossible to sift through, to wade through good versus bad info. But anyway, whatever the case, the thing is, you need decades of being in this game, of studying the occult stuff, the conspiracies, and all these things, the behind the scenes, how the elites control, and how it's like a secret society war behind the scenes. Really, at its core, that's what it is. And you see that really the vast majority, like even that whole thing, like on the American seal, okay, on the seal of the United States, none of that stuff's negative. That pyramid, I even say it in my book, my fantasy novel. I got this in the first part that's coming out very soon now. I got a gigantic glossary at the end. And I talk about all these things. I even have that in there, the Great Seal of the United States. It's not negative, like that pyramid without the capstone that says Annuit Coeptus and all these things, and you know, it's got the eye at the top. That symbol was universally considered as depicting God. That eye, the all-seeing eye. So it's basically saying that. And that's one of those phrases, the Latin phrases, means God sanctions our work, something like that. It's translated from the Latin to the English. So it's basically the founding fathers trying to show that America is looked on favorably. The American experiment is looked upon favorably by the prime creator, because it is a positive thing, because it was designed as a kryptonite to tyranny and to tyrannical kings and so forth. Okay, I mean, the whole fucking point of the revolution and why they broke away from, what's his name? I don't remember. King Edward, whoever, I don't remember who it was. I know him. Normally I would know it, but I blanked out now. Anyway, the then King of England, who was demanding exorbitant taxes and so on. So everything about America, including, you know, up to and including that whole sacred geometry setup that they have there in Washington D.C., all of it is highly positive. It's done by the White Lodges, because they're the ones that they have the true power. You know, they have all the tech, the spiritual tech. They created the stuff. All right, you can't take that away from them. You know, it's like trying to go to the Beatles, try to go to Paul McCartney now and say, you didn't really write all that stuff. You know, Ringo, the drummer, wrote it all. You know, John Lennon and McCartney were nothing. Like, you just can't. It's indelible. Like, it's like the groove that's been made in history. It can't be undone. Okay, it's there. Like the White Lodges are supremely powerful because they created the whole lodge structure and everything upon which Freemasonry and all the Freemasonic type of organizations, Rosicrucian style organizations, etc., are based on. That is the template that the White Lodges created. You know, whether it was Atlantis or Egypt or blah blah blah, or I don't, you know what I mean? It could be like anywhere from 5 to 10,000 to a trillion years ago. I don't know. I don't care. I do care, but, like, you know, being kind of facetious when I say I don't care, because it's like, What are we going to be constantly researching all our lives to figure out when it started and how far back it goes? All I can tell you is it goes back much farther than we care to imagine. And number two, don't worry about when it started, but just know that the White Lodges started it all, and then a couple of bad guys got corrupted by power and greed, and they thought, okay, I'm going to usurp this, I'm going to co-opt this. But you can't take away from it. You can't take away its power. All you can do, you cannot erase it either. Okay, because nothing remains hidden under the sun. You can't hide the knowledge forever. You can't destroy it, certainly, because it's like the original guys. It's like that saying, the original are the best, that type of thing. They created all these structures upon which all the dark lodges, let's say, like the negative Freemasonic style lodges that exist, they based their whole structure on the original templates that the good guys made. So all the sacred geometry type of stuff, like the numerological, astrological knowledge that they have, Kabbalistic stuff they know, the Rosicrucian style, that type of positive Western magic. You look at it and you're like, fuck, you read some of this stuff and you get this amazing, sublime feeling from it, vibe, and it hits you immediately, and you think, my God, this stuff has not been corrupted for thousands of years. There's been some organization, something that pieced all this knowledge together, protects it, keeps it somewhere. It's so secret they probably don't even have a name or actual physical lodges and meeting places. And they are the creators of all these things that we now call occultism, okay? And it's simply that, like I said before, a couple of minutes ago, there were certain people, small in number, but very big on evil intention, and they wanted to take this stuff and use it for their own ends and try to hide it from the people and stuff, but you can't. Nothing remains hidden under the sun forever. And the good guys, like whoever is there first, whoever plants the foundations first, always is going to have the upper hand, no matter how much, some evil guy comes in and tries to usurp and take over the company, let's say. It's like, let's liken it to a company, a corporation, right? Some of the board members try to vote out the original founder of the company and so on. Eventually the guy, if he's badass enough, as it was depicted in the first Batman movie of Christopher Nolan's trilogy with Christian Bale, the dude was smooth enough to take his company back. All right, so this is the White Lodges. Like, they were the original, they're the best. They created the shit. The dark ones are not going to come in and just suddenly take over just like that at the press of a button. You fucking kidding me? So cycling back, this is a gigantic parenthesis, but it started with Trump, and explaining how this chainsaw madman, libertarian here with the funny hair, is a product of the fact he's a direct result of the fact that Trump actually won in 2016. And the day he won, the second, not the day, the fucking second he won, that's when the Dark Lodges lost. They lost. Okay? Because the entire energetic template of Washington, D.C., of America itself, in general, like, you can look at it on any level, okay? Entertainment, anything, like, look at the entertainment, like anything, whatever's come out of Hollywood, not lately, but back in the day when things were good in the 80s and 70s, 80s, 90s, 90s, average, 70s and 80s were the best decades. So I'm not biased whatsoever. The fact that I was born in mid-70 probably plays no bearing on that opinion of mine, but it's kind of objectively true that the 80s was like glorious as far as music or movies goes. So you look at that, and the entire planet has copied that template of the Hollywood action film or Hollywood rom-com, etc. All right, so in every field of human endeavor, whatever happens in America, it eventually trickles down to the rest of the world. It's actually designed that way. I'm telling you, the White Lodges that I've been explaining at length here now, actually that's what they wanted. That was the whole point of creating a country where it's going to be basically the template for the world. Okay, so because the people behind the scenes that understand the things I speak of now, because they know these things, they're like, oh shit, if someone like him gets in, like Trump, who's authentic, who's like a by the people, for the people type of person, that actually is somebody who embodies the type of leadership that the American Constitution, the US Constitution calls for and is designed for, they're like, oh, we're fucked. Because now that means that we lost for good, forever. Okay? And the American experiment, the people that started it a couple hundred years ago or so, they beat us at last. They succeeded in what they wanted to do, because the whole plan was to create what is it, Nova or Novus Ordo Seclorum. I remember it now because I recently was writing the glossary entry that I said in my book. I have a glossary about the Great Seal of the United States. So, Novus Ordo Seclorum, New Order of the Ages. The mid-level conspiracists go crazy. They think New World Order. Ah. New World Order just means New Aeon. You know, it's just a different fancy Freemasonic Latin way of saying, I don't know, the Aquarian Age or Crowley's New Aeon of Horus, whatever. It's all the same thing. Not identically the same, but more or less overlapping concepts of basically just like a new, different age to come where it's better. By the people, for the people. Okay? That type of leadership. All right? So, Aquarian Age. All right? Look up the traits of Aquarian, of the zodiac of Aquarius, and you will see it's all about freedom and humanitarianism, and everyone gets a fair go. You know, it's not communist, but more just egalitarian in the sense that actual equality, like everyone gets treated equally under the law and stuff like that. Not equity, not that super demonic word equity, where it's like forced equality. So you must be this because your skin has a certain color and blah blah blah. It's like, so I don't want to do that job. Don't force me into something I don't want to do. That's equity. Fuck that. But true equality. So that's what all this age, this new aeon has to do. Rephrase. This new incoming age now, that's what it's all about. And Trump was a herald for that in the political arena, that is. And like I said, partially I'm saying this stuff because I want to vindicate myself for like nobody really taking me seriously back in the day. And it's been proven now, like almost a decade later, this Milei guy, Javier Milei, amazing. He's like, and it's like a domino, okay? This guy's like the third or fourth domino, and it's just going to keep going and going through the decades and centuries. And then historians will look back 1,000 years later and say, they'll be talking about Trump and Javier Milei. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. They'll be speaking about them like the way we talk about great emperors of Rome today and so on, and people like Alexander the Great or whatever, or like even more recent people like the founding fathers and people like George Washington and what was his name? The guy that said I killed the bank. I don't remember. He was one of the early American presidents. So he was anti-bankster. So, these are very significant figures. I mean, TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome, is a real thing. Historians will look back on that as well and say, it's no accident that during that time, it also happened to be the fact that, and this is true, that we are at the dumbest point in human history, as in we have the least, like per capita percentage wise among populations, the least amount of geniuses that has ever been. So like back in the day, 100 or 200 or 500 years ago, we might have had like 1 out of 100 people being geniuses, or 2 out of 100, 1 in 50. Now it'll be 1 in 200, 1 in 300, 1 in 500. The average is becoming bigger and bigger, and like there's a tiny amount of smart people at the top. So that would explain also all these phenomena. Okay, because most people are just dumb enough to just believe whatever the fake news tells them, and so on. So if there was a different narrative, I guarantee you, if there was a highly positive narrative about Trump from 2016 till now, they would have loved him. TDS wouldn't even exist. I wouldn't even be saying the term, because it wouldn't exist in our reality as a term, as a syndrome, and therefore as a term. Nevertheless, he's the real deal, and he is what I'm describing here. This is actually what's the truth of the situation. And I knew this all along. I knew that he wasn't like the ultimate. I mean, I kind of half jokingly would call him Emperor Trump and all this, but it was like because of enthusiasm brought upon by the fact that I just knew it. It was like that he was the template. He was the first domino that would start off this new style of Aquarian age governance. And it was perfect timing for it. And at the same time, he smashed fake news as well. That was also part of his life mission, I guess. It was just spirit. He had a calling from spirit to come in this lifetime and destroy the fake news. Fake news, by the way, has been something that's been ongoing forever. The test of a person's intelligence and blue-pilldom levels is whether or not they were aware of the fact that news has always been fake, way before Trump was even born. Yes, that wasn't like a audio typo there. Way before he was born. Not before he became POTUS, before he was fucking born in the 40s something, whatever it was. So fake news has always been around. I mean, if you're so fucking dumb that you don't know this, then you're going to believe that when Trump is yelling at the fake news, that is the enemy of the people. Whereas when he is saying that fake news is the enemy of the people, he's actually the one who's correct in this case. So, yeah, that was an amazing thing that he did, and now I can foresee him winning this year as well, especially if he teams up with Vivek. It's over. I mean, it was over for the Cabal the second he won, the second he beat Hillary. Over, game over. Because they knew, like I said before, like if they could have managed to get him out by the midterms, by 2018, say, they tried. All those things they were doing, that's why they kept doing these things, to try to stop him, because they thought, oh shit, we've got to get him out as quick as possible, because each extra day that he remains in the White House weakens us even more. It solidifies the timeline that we don't want. Like, because every extra day, every extra hour that he was, let me do it sequentially. Every extra second, every extra hour, every extra day, every extra week, every extra year that Trump was remaining in the White House during his first term, it would further solidify that positive timeline, which would create this new age of more enlightened political leadership, which I've been talking about now. And the dark Cabal knew this at the time. So that's why they were going crazy trying to stop him. They're like, because about what we see like Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and all that stuff, that's just theater. These people are puppets. I'm talking about people behind the scenes that understand the things I'm explaining here, and at a much deeper level and much more than I or anyone else on YouTube or whatever that explain these things because we're outsiders essentially. We may have known these things in past lives or whatever, but the point is that as it stands now, we're not part of any of these lodges or anything. I'm not. It's just whatever you read on the internet and, you know, dot connecting that you do and certain intuitive understandings and whatever. And you come up with some of us come up with a picture that might be surprisingly accurate and close to actually what's really happening behind closed doors, right? But you can never get 100%, but some of us have this talent for getting quite close to what's really actually going on behind these lodges. So I think I have a bit of that, and many people have said that I have. So that's why I'm using this to try to explain to people what's going on, you know, in the hopes of helping more people wake the fuck up to this situation and realize the following, that like, how can I put it? Like Wizard of Oz, okay? Like the old guy behind the curtain. The people that are behind the curtain are, that, make no mistake about it, this is not speculation, this is not my opinion, it's not conspiracism. It is a fact. We are ruled ultimately, the people behind the curtain are these people that understand that there's much more to life than the third dimension and all this. They understand these things. They know what are the things I've been saying the past, whatever, 20 minutes now, 30 minutes, whatever. Like I've said in a recent video, that my videos are not your average reaction video. I'm not just going to be going on reacting and saying, oh, how cool is that? Oh, politics, blah, blah, blah. You know, I'm always going to be talking about the metaphysical connection to politics and what's really going on behind the scenes and so on. And it'll be like much more in depth, like on my other channel, like I said. But this one, you know, I can't help being who I really am. Like, I'm not just going to be like one of those typical, you know, the standard like conservative channels that are just like Christian conservatives, and you know, they'll think even something as simple as like a tarot deck would be satanic. I'm not that, okay? My first channel started out being about spirituality, occultism. I got into politics after that. So this is just an attempt to red pill the broader masses with this channel, okay? But I will be talking about these topics definitely on this one as well, but in a more how could I say it, general population friendly way. I hope that's what this is. I hope this doesn't sound too woo-woo. And the people that use that word woo-woo, you know, fuck those people anyway. You know, like if you're into scientism, you're not, you know, this channel is not for you, you know, because if you subscribe, you're going to unsubscribe anyway a couple of days later, because you won't be able to withstand the unbridled outpouring of objective truth. Okay, it's going to scramble your brain. It's just going to make you malfunction and get the blue screen of death in your brain. Scientism, the worst thing to inflict humanity after communism, right? So the point is, you know, these things are real, and this cabal we speak of understands these things. I mean, all you've got to do is look at quantum physics for like 2 seconds, and you're like, oh shit, this man on YouTube with a suit and the Greek statues behind him, he's right. It's true, because you got to be a moron to think that it's just a bunch of chemicals randomly bumped into each other, and then, out of nowhere, as if by magic, the Big Bang, as if by magic, millions of life forms, planets, everything. You fucking kidding me? How dumb are you? How dumb are you, really? Honestly. Ask yourself, look in the mirror and say, how fucking stupid am I to believe that shit? Honestly. So, and these people know this, that you're a dumbass if you believe this. And so if you're a dumb fuck and you believe that stuff, what they do is they use... what am I doing here? I'm adjusting the screen as I speak. I shouldn't be doing that. So these people I speak of that truly control the world behind the scenes, the people that are at places like that found organizations like the Bilderberg Group and etc. They know these things because 99%, if not all of them, if not 100% of them, are members of Freemasonic groups and so on. So the main criterion really to become a Freemason is to believe in a supreme being. Okay, so that's number one. So if you don't have that, they don't want you as a member. So it stands to reason. I mean, by definition, people that are members of these groups, because you look at it, like you look at all the membership lists of all these types of organizations, like Bilderberg, etc., that I mentioned, and any kind of elites that are involved in those types of things, and always, when you look them up, you will always find that they're either part of, like, they're either Freemasons or Skull and Bones or something, one of these, or several of these types of orders, fraternal orders. And in every single one of these, there's a common thread. To be a member, you must, at the very least, the minimum prerequisite is you must understand that a supreme being exists. In other words, you can't be an absolute amoeba-brained dumbass. Okay, you got to understand the reality of the universe. It's not just all matter. Okay, so by definition, all these elites that are involved, that are in these positions where basically they're like God, they rule us over us like gods because they can just print money at will and at a whim and all this stuff. Or they decide where the wars happen. They decide who gets elected. Well, that one's a little bit iffy. I mean, it's not like they just get behind closed doors and say, hey, we want this guy to get elected and let's rig the voting machine. It's not that clear cut with that one. Elections are not that easy to control to that extent, but that's for another video. But the way they used to do it till recently was, because there was no internet and social media until recently, they just basically controlled the fake news. Okay, so they convinced people through the news of who they're going to vote. That's how they decided this is the guy we want to win, because they pumped a particular narrative, and it was just one narrative, and there was no counter narrative. Okay, because there was a handful of people that owned the 4 or 5 media corporations, television stations, newspapers, or whatever. You look behind the scenes who owns them, and it was a handful of people, families. So it was this coordinated thing where it was propaganda, like one message throughout all these fake news establishments. So that's how they controlled elections. It's not like they were just pressing a button and say, I want him to be voted. I want him to win. It's not. I mean, the conspiracists sometimes present it as being like that. That's where I agree with John Pearson, where he says, conspiracy theories are the most low resolution thing. Yeah, I disagree with him on that one in general, but in that case, that is true. They just have this magical machine where they can just press whatever they want and they can rig the voting machine. No, that's like conspiracism gone bad. All right, but yeah, it's because they controlled the fake news, but now they can't do that, and that's exactly why Trump won. I've been saying it since day one. That's how he won, because that power that the Cabal had to control the handful of fake news establishments back in the day, before the internet, it took about 20 years for that power to be broken by the internet, because the internet came out in about 97, 98. We started getting it was dial up. That sound, I can't do it. Sorry, I sounded ridiculous there, but those of you who are ancient enough remember the sound of the dial up. These young kids today what do you mean, what's dial up? I don't know what that is. It's probably true. Some of them don't probably even know the term. But anyway, so that was from then, late 90s till about when Trump took over the world and became emperor of the universe. That was about 20 years. So in that 20-year period, the internet smashed the power, or not smashed, but it happened in an underground way. Like it happened like in a way, like a behind the scenes way, a subtle way. The Cabal didn't realize it, but they saw the results of it, and they saw them all at once when the Trump thing happened, and they're like, "Oh fuck!" It's like the rug was pulled under their feet suddenly, where they thought they were in control. They're like, "Oh, that's okay. The internet's all right. I mean, it's not too problematic. Let them say whatever they want. They have freedom of speech." Blah blah blah. So that's why they will let people say whatever they wanted on YouTube videos and stuff. Do you remember back in the day? So many anti-Semitic things, and you could see and hear anything, almost anything on YouTube and on the internet in general, and practically nobody would censor it. Like some of that stuff probably should have been, probably some of it was like censor-worthy material. I'm against censorship in any way, shape, or form, but some of the stuff was like, okay, now why is this guy saying this when it's total bullshit? And why is he just completely making it up? Like no sources, no dot connecting, nothing. They were just saying things like this is this. Anyway, so then the Cabal's like, oh, whoops. We lost our power, our control. Like basically, they lost control of the narrative because the internet, like I said, it's an Aquarian age energy. So just before the changeover between the Piscean and the Aquarian age proper, which is roughly happening now, there's not a specific date. People were saying December 2012, then it was like December 2020, when there was like a great conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter at 0 degrees, so that was significant. But these are just nodes, they're just points in a graph. It's not just one event that's gonna, now it's 11:59 midnight, 1 minute before midnight, and it's the Piscean age, and in 1 minute it's going to magically be the Aquarian. Doesn't happen like that, like instantly, but it happens in increments, and there's some points where it just goes in spikes. It goes like a graph, like that. No, hang on, let me do it again from down there. So it goes like that. So there's certain points that like it's a big spike, and then when the big spike happens, it kind of stays. I mean, it might drop down a bit, but it pretty much it gets to a next level. So there's these particular dates where it just shoots the energy up to the next level. So around 2030, 2040, like the changeover will be complete. That's why probably the people like at World Economic Forum and the UN and all that stuff, they have this fucking Agenda 2030, absolutely obsessed with that thing, because something about the 2030 date as well, it must be a very important key date for this thing. Like it's like almost like make or break. Like if the Cabal creates its dark Aquarian timeline by then, it's going to stay in place, it's going to be solidified. So we have about 6-7 years from now till then to put in a positive timeline into place. And when Trump came about 8 years ago, they panicked because the people that understand the things that I'm saying now, who are ruling us behind the scenes, they knew that even if he stayed in the White House for 2 years, it would be over, because that would be more than enough time for him to create a template that would reverberate energetically across the planet and awaken within people in other countries similar ideas, similar leaders rising up, and basically being, whether consciously or doing it consciously or unconsciously, they would be like mini Trumps, like Trump imitators, let's say. And of course, because everyone is an individual in this life, but you still, like, even the most uncreative, uninspired person, he tries to make his thing, his music, his movie, his novel, whatever, his YouTube channel. He models it exactly on someone else's thing, template. Still, your originality is still going to come through. So even if there are people that are consciously, politicians that are consciously trying to imitate Trump around the world, um, they won't be able to help being themselves. Okay, so they're still going. I mean, you could say they just use him as inspiration, and then eventually they're just going to be their own person. They're going to do their own thing, right? Such is the case with Mr. Milei here. All right. I don't know whether he got inspired by Trump. I'm sure he loves Trump. Why wouldn't he? um, can you imagine those two like being together on the stage, or like having some Avengers superstar panel, like a 5 hour long podcast session, like with all these legends around, like having Alex Jones, like the thing that they did on Twitter with Alex Jones and Andrew Tate and Musk. Imagine throwing Trump and Vivek and Milei in there. You'd be like the bloody Arthurian Round Table, real life version of. Amazing. So that's the thing, and that's how this guy ended up. That's why this is happening. Like, because if the Trump thing didn't happen, it would not have created this energetic shift, which would allow space, like open up a new. It's like a new timeline. So he created a new thing. Okay, he shifted. I mean, and the people that think this is woo woo. Okay, I'll say it in a woo woo less way. He basically sent us down a different path. That's all timeline fucking means. Okay, for your information, the woo woo accusers. Yeah, it's just you just sent us down a different path, Mr. Donald John Trump. And there's two types of people in the world: those that see what he truly is, that see that what I just described about him in this second section of the video, that they see that it's true, and those that don't, and those are the people that have Trump derangement syndrome. But these people you will find that such people are blue-pilled all across the board on almost everything in life. Like, you will find them being just more naive in general, more prone to just trust authority in general, less suspicious of people, less likely to do their own due diligence on anything. Like, let's say you're doing a business deal or something, anything, and the person sends you the contract from his lawyer and stuff, and it's like, yeah, my lawyer's gone through this and blah blah blah. Well, the naive person that would be more likely to fall for TDS would also be the type of person that would not necessarily do his own or her own due diligence on a contract and go to his own lawyer and double check it. Like, it just in general, and I'm not just saying this to slander the leftist types. It's just really, I've seen it through experience ever since the Trumpism phenomenon started. I've seen this in people. Like, I've examined like people I've been arguing with over on social media and stuff. You look at their other opinions and their personality profile in general, and on average, they just generally have that type of more collectivist, less suspicious, they're just less savvy. They're not as street smart, let's say. You could use that term, I guess. And when people are like that, they're not gonna. I mean, it takes one to know one, right? I mean, how many people at that time when Trump was still fresh? Do you remember how many people were literally believing he was dumb? They were saying he's an idiot. They were so. They're the ones that were stupid, however, because what their problem was is that they never owned a good dictionary in their lives. They did not understand that they should have been instead saying that Trump is blunt and uncouth. Those are completely different words. They have completely different meanings to stupid, to low intelligence, low IQ, intelligence quotient. Okay? IQ. Acronym for intelligence quotient. which is measured very exactingly by tests. And only people that score low on those tests do not believe that those tests are accurate. Ask Jordan Peterson and others on that. So he's clearly a very intelligent man, but they didn't understand that. So this entire package of like thinking that if someone's like a bit brash and whatever and does not speak like a politician should, oh, he's an idiot. Are you sure? Do you want to look up the definition of that word and double check, and then come back to me and sort of rephrase your accusation? Use a different word. Okay. You can say it was not presidential-like, but to say that a man like that has such a massive track record of success basically has a Midas touch. Anything you touch turns to gold, pretty much. Hundreds of businesses, and hundreds, and he succeeds. He fails in about 3 or 4 of them, and all they fucking do is talk about those 3 or 4 failures. I don't understand how people think like that. But, in general, this whole Trump era has catapulted us now to the next level. And Mr. Milei here is the next level of that. And I felt that I had to give a little teaser of how the metaphysical behind-the-scenes explanation works. Which is the true explanation, because of everything comes from mind and from spirit. The muggles who believe in psychiatry and think that mind is brain, they're completely gone. They're gone. You're too far gone if you believe the mind is identical to the brain. You're so far gone, you cannot be saved. Certainly I cannot save you with this channel, through this channel. But the good people of this world who understand that mind is not brain will also understand that, therefore, whatever we see around us comes from a higher source. And there are people who know this, and they try to use that knowledge against us. They try to convince us through the education system that it's not real, so that then they can use it. And they panicked when Trump won, because it's game over. He changed. He created a new template in the morphogenetic field that's now been solidified. Like I said, it was like the 100th monkey syndrome, as it is expressed in politics. Okay. So all you need is one guy to do it for long enough, and especially like in the US, this is why the Cabal went fucking crazy. Because it's like, if there was a Trump kind of person in Berlin, in Athens, in Tokyo, in Shitburn. Did I say Shitburn? I meant Melbourne, Australia. Any one of those places, it would have been like, But the fact that it was America, that's why they panicked. And now this explains why, this whole attack on Trump, the true motivation behind it, right? These dark forces not wanting him to stay in the White House for a long enough time, so as to guarantee, 100% guarantee that the 100th monkey syndrome, as far as a new way of governing and so on, like in the true way that it should be done as per the ideal of the US Constitution. Yeah, they wanted to prevent him from staying in there long enough. Because like I said earlier, every second, every extra minute and second and minute that he stayed in the White House, he kept solidifying and making the 100th monkey syndrome of that particular thing, of that particular Trump leadership style template, the populist leader, of making it, of cementing it, of solidifying it, of crystallizing it. So, and that's been done now. It's happened. So even if he does not win in 24, I mean, I'm just here for the laughs. I'm just here for like, I used to wake up like every day, like, I kid you not, like the first thing, like, I didn't even look up work related stuff or anything. Literally, the first thing I would do every day was look on my phone, look through Twitter to look at and go on Trump's wall. Why? Because it was so hilarious. It was just hilarious. The way he was yelling at fake news and everything. He was calling out the people and the things that needed to be called out, but that no one else had the balls or the position, the status, the powerful position to do so, because all the powerful positions were occupied by shills and cabal people and people that were compromised or that didn't have balls to do the right thing or didn't care about the greater good, whatever, a variety of reasons. But this guy was like, he was put there by God to just smash that, the fake news and just call out everybody that needed to be called out. So that, yeah, I'm just beating a dead horse now, but, probably preaching to the choir as well. But hopefully, even if I am preaching to the choir, I've hopefully given you a fresh perspective, an explanation. Hopefully I'm one of those guys that, people will be saying, oh yeah, I've thought about it. Like, the greatest compliment that I could ever get is not to say, oh, your stuff is great, blah, blah, blah. Greatest compliment I could ever get for the work I do online would be, yeah, man, I knew that stuff. I'd thought about this stuff too, but the way you put it in a way where I saw it in a completely new way, and you connected a couple of dots here and there that I hadn't done. That's all I want to do here. I mean, this is not revolutionary stuff. This, it's through research I've done for years and whatever, and just little bits and pieces of my own understandings, whether left-brained or right-brained or intuitive. But 80% of it, or whatever, 3/4 of it, is born of research. But yeah, I hope that I just gave like a nice, well-rounded explanation of how the politics things fit in, and how perhaps the sacred geometry in these important cities of the world, particularly DC, America, maybe we should not go down the fear-based, like the fear-mongering path of, oh, it's all satanic, it's all this, it's all that. How do you know? What's the proof? Give me the actual proof, like the explain it. Why a phallic symbol is necessarily, like, de facto just automatically evil? Why? Who said that? Nobody. There's no explanation for that. Like, it's just someone made it up. They said, oh, phallic symbol is it? What if it's actually highly positive? It's masculine. I mean, yang is positive. Yang, I'll say it again, yang is the positive out of the two, out of the yin and yang. So phallic symbol, masculine, yang, solar, it's highly positive. Where is the negativity? Where is the satanic? Like, I'm not seeing any of the. It's just bullshit. It's just Christian conspiracist stuff. Like I said before, it's occultism challenged individuals. They're like mid-level truthers. They think that all the occult symbolism is satanic. They think that all occultism is dark occultism by default, which is, I don't know, I'm just going to be crass, not stupid, crass. It's bullshit. Okay, it's a bullshit opinion because it's a false one. It's an uninformed one. So yeah, got to stop now before this video ends up becoming a 5-hour video, because I see that I started to repeat myself. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video and got something out of it, please like, comment, share and subscribe, and I'll see you all soon.